Jason is quiet. Let me turn that up. Oh, that's my fault.
That's good.
Boop.
Okay, I can see myself now. Okay.
Okay.
And I can see you on a delay.
Chris, are we all right? Like my setup.
I like how your setup is literally just Photoshop.
Well, I had 5 minutes to figure this out. All right, I figured it out.
This is like the best, like slightly jankiest setup.
This works perfect. This is Google Hangouts. It looks professional.
Oh, it's because you had to write your name and stuff. There's a text feature in OBS, I believe.
Yeah, but like I don't have time to load a new fucking application.
It's okay.
Dude,
it's okay.
I'm shipping a game. All right, I got shit to do. Like
this is indie development. This is the way that it works. Nobody cares. It's fine.
It's okay. I haven't streamed in forever. Nobody's here. We're fine.
Okay.
Nobody will ever know. Could crop out the edges. Oh yeah, what is it? F11. Oh fuck. Wait, no, it's got to be because otherwise. See, there's windows, so it's got to be like, now he's gone. See, yeah.
I have disappeared.
Chris, we're gonna just not worry about it. You're right, though. That is a thing we could have done.
It has my link. It has the link to our Google Hangout, right there.
Yeah, is that a problem?
I don't know. Actually, I haven't used. I wonder if somebody can just like randomly join. That would be embarrassing.
If somebody does figure out how to do it. I don't know. They're more technical than me. It's like
all right.
My viewers are mostly cool. My viewers are mostly cool.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I'm more worried about my viewers. Anyways, you haven't been retro gamed yet.
No,
you've been retro gamed.
That's fair.
Let me send out a link. Okay.
I could put like a box over that. It's not worth the trouble. Yo, what are we talking about today? We want to talk about your Kickstarter. We should start with news.
Oh, again? Yeah, sure.
Because there was actually news this week. Do you want to?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk about have you been following what's going on with perp lamps?
No. You're good.
It's okay. I can tell you about it on the air and we can talk about it.
Yeah,
I don't really. I'm scared actually to go into that because it's the Epic Game Store stuff.
Oh yeah, well, I mean we can talk about that stuff. It was weird. There was something that recently happened with that. Maybe I was dreaming that. I don't know. Yeah, we could talk about. Let me see.
Are you going to talk about publishers? Is there anything else you guys want to add to the list? There's a handful of people here. Anything else you want to talk about, Mojica?
I mean, we'll start with something and we'll just snowball into like a million different things. So I'm sure it'll be fine.
All right. When we start recording, we're going to ignore the chat, by the way. That's fine. They're used to being ignored. I'm saying this mostly for your people. I should probably not sit like an animal.
You've got the standing desk. Gwen. Wait, Dyer. Wait. Oh, yeah. I can't at you for some reason. Okay, whatever.
I feel short. Dude, I haven't streamed in so long. I'm like trying to get my head to block the air conditioner.
Interesting, 300 plus people. Wait.
I'm intimidated by how professional your banner is in the background, Mojica.
I didn't make it. It's all good. That's so weird. I did like an at everyone in my announcements section, but it only went to the people that are like actively here. Like I couldn't at like 1,000 people for some reason. That must be like once you hit the 1,000 people plus in your Discord, it like hides everyone so you can't see who's there anymore, and then it like does a bunch of other stuff. I don't like being more than 1,000 people.
Might be people. Yeah, I just get skeeved out in general when there's a handful of times somebody will raid me and it'll get like 50 viewers in Twitch. I'm like, I don't know who these people are anymore and I don't like it.
Yeah, usually when that happens, let me see. Somebody raided me the other day and they had like 30 plus people, and which to us is like, it's like, ooh, 30 plus people, but like so anyways, I always take that time because I'm like, my game is my level editor, is the game, whatever. So I always save what I'm doing and then pop over to like the main vertical slice demo, and I'm like, all right, let me show you guys something cool about my game, and I'll run them through like the basics, just because you never know who they are. They might get interested in wanting to check it out.
I do the opposite. I try to do that, and then I feel real awkward. And then you'll notice every time somebody's rated me, I've with that many people, I leave like 20 minutes later. Like I just don't know how to. I don't know you people. It's freaking me out.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are into, like why you're here. It's like whatever.
It's especially like it's cool. Yeah, specifically because I feel like there's very few people that stream game dev. We should talk about streaming on the fucking podcast.
Yeah, that would be good. So,
people in the chat, we are gonna ignore you because we are recording a podcast. So, and the people who hear this on, through audio won't be able to read what you're saying. So it would be kind of weird if we were just replying to you.
It would be weird.
Now I'm explaining things to your viewers.
Yeah, I'm not ignoring you, Chad. I'm reading you. So your thoughts and prayers are going out to me, but I'm not going to respond.
You don't tell them that; they'll heckle you. That'd be the first thing I would do. I'd be like, "Remember that time, Mojica?"
Like, yes, I do. And then I lock up, and I'm like, I gotta go, Gwen.
All right. What else should we do? Are we ready? Do you want to just 3, 2, 1 this shit? Oh wait, sure. Chris, are we supposed to record in Audacity too? If you're still here,
we should do that.
We'll just do that. Okay, so I'll say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll hit the button.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Sorry.
Do you want me to say? Okay.
No, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm just always nervous. All right. You gotta get it you gotta hack up a loogie right before you do this. All right. Yep. 3, 2, 1. Hello, this is. See, we always fuck up the opening. He'll cut this part. All right. How do I start this? All right. Hello.
We're in the dialogue box.
We are in the dialogue box. This is Gwen and Jason Mojica. The venerable Chris Slight could not join us this week. He is doing something called EVO in Vegas.
EVO.
EVO? Do you know about this?
Of course I do. I was huge into fighting games. I played Street Fighter for 5 years of my life while I was in Boston or something like that.
You were into Street Fighter?
Oh, I was huge into Street Fighter. My buddy Mike, the one that I'm working on Proteus with, basically got me into fighting games. So I've been into fighting games for a long time. But there comes to a point where you have to stop playing fighting games because they make you angry and you're not good at them.
Well, were you playing at the ladder and stuff? Because I don't know anybody that's casually into fighting games, right? Everybody I know goes to all the fucking, what do you call it?
Let me see. Yeah, in Wisconsin, it wasn't really a big scene, but I won a few tournaments. Actually, I have my coffee cup I bought with the winnings, at the event that I went to. So I was okay. I mean, when they sent me to 2K Marin, right at the end of Bioshock, they were like, oh yeah, they're doing the DLC or something like that. So they sent me over to 2K Marin, and I brought my arcade stick with me because I heard from Gainer that they're big, arcade dudes out there. So I went there, and I just kind of, at the coffee hole, I was like, hey, does anybody play fighting games or here? And the 5 ears were bing 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 bing, they all perked up, and everybody was yeah, we play fighting games. We play fighting games here. And I was like, oh cool. Well, what do you guys want to play? And they all right, Wednesday during lunch, come hungry. And I was like, okay. So I went, and there was a room of 15 to 20 people, all with their sticks, and they were sit down in this chair. and I was like, okay, all right, sure. So
we are here to assess your abilities.
Yeah,
we will find out if you are one of us.
Yeah, they sat me down, and I proceeded to beat every single person until there was nobody left except the one guy that was overly hardcore, and I still beat him. And then I was like, wow, I did it. And then throughout the rest of the day, while I was walking around the office, I heard people complaining about how oh, I should have done this or I should have done that.
Oh man,
it was so good. I'll tell you what, though, that was the day that I stopped playing the game. Though well,
you peaked. You were like, I can't get better than this.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was actually darker than that. I went to the guy that I beat so bad was like, I need to play you again. You come to my arcade. And I went to the arcade later, and I was super tired and exhausted, and they didn't have the right sticks and excuses. his crew wiped the floor with me, and I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I playing this game? And none of these people seemed happy. I was like, is this really what it takes to become really good? I was like, I think I'm okay. And I went home and I got rid of all my games. I got rid of my arcade stick. And
you realize what this looks like? It looks like you lost one time and you rage quit out of the entire fucking scene, right?
No, because I destroyed everyone at 2K Marin.
Okay.
Hands down. Didn't even lose a life. It was like absolutely wiped the floor. But then I realized that, it's just one of those things. And, you move on. But, like, I still love watching EVO. So Chris is at EVO. I got really excited about that because it's such a fun tournament. Like, those guys, they really do put all their heart into it and everything like that. And but it is a solo game. Like, you have to have you have to be on it at all point, and it is you. It's like all you. Every missed input, every like flub, it's all you versus one other person. So I'm so glad that I kind of got rid of that negativity, because I was getting into a weird place.
Do you honestly think that's like more or less negative than a game like League of Legends where you have more people?
I think that no, the more people thing is great, because you have a support system, you've got your team, you're working with each other. Like, I played Counter-Strike. No, you have no idea.
I played League of Legends. I loved it. Like, I loved League of Legends, but I mean, like, when your team wasn't there and you were solo queuing, I wouldn't exactly call that the loving experience.
When you're solo queuing, there's like when you have people that you play with regularly. Like, I play with my buddies and we play Counter-Strike. I enjoy playing with them. Even when we flub, it's still fun because we're playing as a team, and sometimes like they'll fix the problems in my game because somebody else covers that, like, oh, this guy's really good at doing this. So that kind of covers your weaknesses, and everybody works together. So it's more of like a team mentality, and I never get mad when I play Counter-Strike versus if I flubbed something in Street Fighter, it was on me. And after about an hour or two, because that meant that like your mental strength gets worn down very quickly playing those games, because it's all like you're constantly in a battle between remembering what the guy was doing 10 moves ago and what he's going to be doing. I mean, it's gross, and you just get really tired. And then eventually you just realize that you're like, you as a person aren't capable of playing high level at this game. and that's okay. It's a real head trip. But yeah, no,
I mean, it's all relative as far as high level goes, but yeah, I can definitely see how it's mentally fatiguing. I definitely like, it's one of those things. I don't go to, like, I've never been to a game design talk at GDC or anything like that. And I think part of it is, I think when you design, to me, there is no such thing as game design, because like, a person who knows how to design a game like Street Fighter is completely different from a person who knows how to design a game like World of Warcraft. Like, it's just such a complete, like, Street Fighter, that's a game where that's a game, even as an animator, like, every frame matters, and they're clipping, like, the designers have the ability to clip the frames out because the poses matter so much and shit like that. Like,
oh, I know.
It's, well, yeah, obviously,
I mean, but it's interesting because every time I like look at a fighting game, I look at, the animations are like one of those things that stands out. Like, it makes your game stand out, but in most of the games, it's all about the ending pose.
Oh yeah, it's pose to pose. It's about the wind up matters. How many frames of the wind up there is matters. It's why I've talked to so twice now I've worked with a coworker that was from the Mortal Kombat team, because a lot of those guys are out here, and we would talk about it. Like, the designers had the ability to just duplicate or destroy frames of animation because they needed the ability to control the actual frames. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because it's necessary, right, for a game like Mortal Kombat, or I'm sure, like, conflating Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter would get me murdered in some circles, but like.
Yeah, I think the more interesting. So there's definitely like a few layers, right? Like, that's like nitty gritty that has to be there now. But like the overall design, I think a lot of people can kind of relate to, which is the meta game, or like setting up what you want your game to be about, or like the meta structure. So like some games, they'll have dynamic elements in them. So like Street Fighter 4 had this sort of move where you could absorb a few hits, and it wasn't like a specific timed thing. It wasn't like you hit a button and it was like one time and that was it. You can actually hold it down for a little bit longer, and you could sort of like your own personality and the way that you would play the game would come out through that button and that mechanic. And to me, that's a beautiful thing. But then like that structured the meta around that, because it was interesting and people could really like put their own personality in, and pros do interesting things with it. And then, you know, some of the other meta games are like, I think in the newer Street Fighter, it's all about the timings and the speed and just being extremely more like really accurate. Like Street Fighter 4 was kind of, in some ways you could be sloppy, but in Street Fighter 5 it's extremely precise. Inputs are going to be the winner of the day. So a lot of the pros really like 5 because of that. And they really didn't like 4 because it was like kind of sloppy and a little bit weird. But yeah, so like, you know, you'll look at that and like I think Street Fighter 3 had a parry button where that was insane. Like if you look back at some of the original matches,
I mean, you've been playing fighting games for a while, right? I'm clearly not in this space. Did it change a lot once esports became a thing? Like, are people now or are the designers now catering more towards the hardest core just because it'll make it a more viable esport?
I mean, fighting games were like sort of the original esports. I mean,
StarCraft. I'm giving that one. Like, I love you, man. I'm giving that one straight to Blizzard. StarCraft was the first esport. I saw that shit in Korea on like TV.
One of my Swedish buddies was like, "Yeah, I knew one of the Korean like announcers back in the day and all this stuff." And it was kind of funny. But yes, I don't think that changed a lot, because the fighting game scene doesn't really stand out as much as like LOL does anymore, or, you know, I don't know. It's a small scene now, but it's really tight knit. I
think that mirrors real sports too, right? Like tennis has never been as popular as soccer, for instance. And you could argue about why certain things are more popular. I think, for instance, soccer is the most popular sport in the world, right? And it's because all you need is like a ball and 2 like nets. That's it. Like,
welcome to the Indie Gamer Podcast, where we talk about sports like we know what we're talking about.
Esport. I mean, I had to get into it for a while because I moved to Boston, and if you don't know sports here, like, you're just like something's wrong with you in the head or something. You know, like, it's a big deal here. Did you get through Boston without knowing about like football and, well, I guess more football, like American football?
Yeah, when I went to visit Sweden for my interview, like a bunch of Boston Bruins like hockey wallpapers were visible when I was there, and they were like, "You're from Boston?" I was like, "Oh," they're like, "Yeah, Bruins." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah, you gotta know a couple of key names to get through, as people will not understand.
Yeah, but no, EVO's great, and I mean. You know, if you ever get a chance, I always wanted to go, and I almost got to go one year when I was super into it, and but then one of my wife's friends was having a wedding, so I had to go to that. But just the energy and the crowd and everything like that, it was so much fun. I mean, the one cool thing that I did get to do, like a few years ago, I got to go to one of the first DreamHack conference in Austin, Texas. They had a Twitch get together afterwards, and for some reason we got invited because DreamHack's from Sweden, so they let everybody from my company hang out.
Which one is DreamHack? I actually don't know that one.
DreamHack's like the biggest LAN
okay,
like on the planet sort of thing, where everybody brings their PCs and stuff. You have to look it up. It's hard to explain, but like now they've been switching over to more and more esports and stuff like that, which is really cool. The one that we went to in Dallas recently to show off Proteus was pretty cool.
Ooh, are you thinking about going after the esports stuff with Proteus? Like, do you view this as ever being that?
No. I mean, I know where we're going, and we're not trying to go esports. I don't think that the way that we're doing like certain things like character movement and things like that will not translate well. I mean, it'll be good and fun and competitive, but I think there's certain things that you really need to do in order for it to be viable as a competitive thing. And yeah, that's not where my headspace is right now. Some dude you know how like when you're indie, you get random people that message you and they're like, oh, you should do this thing. There was a guy that messaged us that was like a part of like a Bitcoin operation or something like that. Like,
you don't have to be indie to get those. Everybody gets those.
I know, but he was like, think about it. Your multiplayer games, whoever wins could get coin from the game, actual coin, and then it could be spent on this thing. And I was like, cool, man. I don't think Nintendo allows gambling on their services.
Yeah, I don't want your magic beans, friend. The hell are you going on about? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's yeah. We were talking about EVO. Now we're totally sidetracked. But
it's whatever. There's no agenda. Oh, we do have an agenda. That's right. We wrote down things. We
wrote some things down.
We did.
But no, I don't think we won't be doing any like Proteus esports things, but I don't think that esports necessarily really hardcore affected like the fighting game communities or anything like that. I do think that those have always been pretty strong in their own area.
Yeah, I kind of, call me, I know it's old school, but I liked it that way better. Like, I didn't obviously never got into these games, but Dota back in the day, like, I liked we just had a thing in college. We would have just, like, we could be king of the college, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That was, or I know there's, obviously, Smash is huge. Like, my musician is huge in Smash, and there's, like, a massive meetup that funnels all the way up to, like, all of New England or something. And that feels so much better when it's grassroots,
Yep.
Like it loses something once it's like, sponsored by Red Bull, and I mean I get the appeal of the crowd, and I can definitely get the appeal of if you were part of that grassroots thing and there was this one guy, you're like, this is the best guy at my school, and then he goes on and you like watch him at like, in an arena somewhere. I bet that feels pretty wild. But
that's gotta be really cool.
It's kind of like, is this why people get into amateur sports? Like, I'm into the local shit,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's fun.
That's right. Oh yeah. So I was saying that like the thing that was I don't know how I'm gonna tie this in. I was just remembering what I was talking about earlier, which is they had like a Twitch get together party we went to, and all of the pros were there, and I was losing my mind. Every pro from like all the pros from Counter-Strike were there. And then over this corner, all the pros from the Smash Bros scene, and then all of the ones from the Street Fighter scene and the Tekken scene, and everybody was just drinking and dancing on this roof. And I was like, holy crap, like this is insane. Like I've never seen this many pros in one spot in my life. And I was just like going up to him and be like, hey, how's it going? Like, but I'm from Strawberries, getting pictures and stuff like that. It was super cool.
Man. I mean, I get it. No, it's okay. I remember, I think I went to a Twitch thing like that once, but my experience was the exact opposite. Because you have to keep in mind, like, you knew me back at Irrational. Like, there was a period of time where I just, like, did not give a fuck about the internet, didn't understand Twitch, didn't follow any of this shit, right? And so I go to this Twitch party, and somebody's explaining to me why his purple shirt matters. Like, he had the purple zip up. And I have to admit, he, like, looked kind of sad. And I think if you have to explain why a piece of, I guess, athletic wear is important, like, the purple sweater matters. But if you have to explain to somebody that matters and that makes you special, then it doesn't. Like he had that moment where he's like, oh.
Yeah, I actually do remember a moment where I was in line for the dude's bathroom, and some kid behind me was like, he tapped me on the shoulder and was like, hey, how's it going? I was like, oh, hey, man, what's up? And I guess he assumed that everybody here was special because literally the only people that were there were like pros. So I'm thinking like, I'm not a pro. But anyways, I was talking to this kid, and you could tell that he was like kind of nerdy, super, super chill. But like, we started talking, and he was a pro from one of the teams. And you could tell that he was just like, my mom told me I need to socialize, and like, and it was like, I need to get out and like get more contacts. Was like,
also put yourself in their shoes, right? Like they're famous, but only in very specific circles online. So when they go to the grocery store, they don't meet people in real life who know who they are. And then they have this really big one party. Not really. No, I mean, you forget, like, at the end of the day, when you go into the grocery store, people recognize, I don't know, like Obama or like fucking, like there's famous in the zeitgeist, and then there's famous in esports, which is like when you're walking
famous
around
on Twitter.
Yeah, which is a different thing. Twitter's a different thing, man. Yeah. Have you been following? We were going to talk about this at some point, maybe. Have you been following what's going on with Epic and Ooblets?
And oh, is that what you were saying earlier? You said the word Ooblets. I didn't hear Ooblets. I heard something else.
Perplamps.
Oh, so did Mrs. Ooblets get picked up by Epic?
Yes, she got picked up by Epic.
Ooh, well, congratulations to Ooblets. That's pretty cool. You know what's crazy about that, though, and maybe I might be jumping into it too quickly, but she had like a huge following because of that game. Mm-hmm. I imagine some people are probably going to be a little upset, but I would think that her fan base is pretty chill.
Wait a minute. So you haven't been following this at all, I'm guessing?
No.
Okay, cool.
I haven't seen it at all, actually.
I mean, I don't know because I'm far away. Like, keep in mind, for me, when I announced Kind was going to the Epic Games Store, no one gave a shit. Because, like, who cares? I took Kind off of Steam, and I lost, like, 1,000 Steam wish lists, maybe, but like those people are all chill people that I actually know, so it was no big deal. She announced it, and I mean, I didn't read through what she said, but I glanced it over. It didn't look that bad, but she was just wrecked. Like just if you read through the vitriol people are throwing at her. Ooblets. Googling it right now.
Yeah, I do. I need to see. Ooblets is exclusive. Developer puts expected backlash into perspective. Kotaku. Okay, I'll read that later.
Yeah.
It's a long read.
Dude. It's like...
probably like a minute read.
Dude, how fucking scary this is? Because, like, on the one hand, you have to understand this money...
it changes.
It helped. Like, I couldn't make Kind without the Epic Game Store exclusive. Like, I have nothing but love for Epic. And I can understand being disappointed... if a game you are following moves. And I can definitely understand if you promise people the game on one platform and then you give it on another one. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think she did she do a Kickstarter? I should have known that. I should look that up.
No. So from my perspective, so I was following. Okay, so here's the deal. All right, let's take a step back. They were doing really well. She was doing really well. She was making a really cute game. Everybody was liking it. I liked it. I was following her. I probably still am. Just because it's super neat to watch that game get developed over time and become something versus it just being like a cute game. Like it became something. And so that was really neat to see that. And then the word got out that she was getting picked up by Double Fine. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then I think she got picked up by Double Fine, and that might have been when Starbreeze was still helping fund them or something, I think. And then I think when maybe this was a change because didn't Double Fine got picked up by Microsoft?
Yeah, I was asking. I read about that. It said that all the things they were published, they were still going to publish. Like Microsoft owns them, but they're kind of independent for now, from what I understand. Mm-hmm. So it's a way of Microsoft just being like, dibs, everything you make from now on will be exclusive to our stuff. Because we own you, but you know, wrap up what you're doing. It's not like they're moving to Seattle. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So So from what I understand, they were still publishing. I think they are still being published through Double Fine. It's just, and who knows who set up the deal with Epic. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, like this is such a hits-driven industry, and it's terrifying. And you never know how on the rope somebody is. And just because you've got a massive following on Twitter, that doesn't translate into money necessarily. No. Like, I don't blame anybody that wants to mitigate risk by taking a deal. Like, I just don't. Yeah. But I get it, like, I get it if, like, you promised something on one platform and then you deliver on another and you've taken somebody's money. Like, that I get. You should give a refund for that, I think.
Yeah.
Or, like...
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's terrifying, though, for the rest of us, because every time something like this happens... So when Proletariat got slapped down with this shit, I immediately I called Steam, and I was like, yo, I'm about to announce Kind's going to the Epic Games Store. Please take down my page. And they were like, Valve was like, are you sure? It's going to be fine. Nobody cares. I'm like, people care. Take it down. So I took it down, and I had just put it up a week ago, and then this week this shit happens. And it's, like, blowing up online. Like, I literally just told Valve, yeah, it's okay, put it back up. And I'm like, I don't want to be like a crazy person, but I'm debating just having them take it down for good until I'm actually on Steam.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I personally think that having a wishlist page up, if you know you're eventually going to be on that platform, to leave it up, because you'll be gathering people who will want your game on that platform when it comes out, and they're going to forget about it, and eventually when you do, they'll get that nice little notification, and to me that's a big deal. I guess they sometimes get it. I don't have any wish list items right now, but every once in a while I do get like a little notification. I do think that's important, and I don't think that they're wrong when they say that.
I think it is important, and it's good. And there's a reason why I asked them to, like, I'm going to put up a trailer for Kind soon. And I was like, all right, before I do that, as long as like it's clear the game's coming out on Epic first, what's the harm? Maybe people won't be so mad if there's a Steam page. And I'm like, fuck. Just because there's so much vitriol right now, like so much hate being thrown at Epic.
It's weird. I mean, I hate the fact that like the internet is just like, from a developer's perspective, Epic's doing some really nice things for indie devs, that most of the bigger dudes weren't doing, right? But Epic's trying to carve out their own little slice in this big ass pie, and I get it, and I acknowledge that they're doing that, and I think that's fine. I mean, we're still small enough that even if we did do something like that, like, me, you, like indies in general, we're still relatively small enough that no one, like if Proteus went Epic exclusive, there would be like a stink, like people would be upset with us.
I hate that. I'm just going to cut you off right now. Like, I hate that, because I get that all the time where people are mad about something. Like, people shouldn't be working more than 40 hours a week. And I'm like, I do, because I'm a solo dev starting a company. And they're like, oh, it's fine when you do it. And I feel like I hear that all the time. People are always like, oh, Gwen, it's fine when you do it. But other people, and I've worked in AAA. Like, we've seen large AAA studios close. We know how it's just as stressful. Like, Telltale Games closed. What if Epic had given them an exclusive? Would people be mad at them? That would have kept that studio alive. Like, it's not like risk like stops being a thing when you're big. It's actually the opposite. And so your
risk increases every time you hire somebody new.
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. It depends on who you hire, but there's different sides of that. Like, but I just don't. I dislike this idea that it's like, it's okay if we like you. It's okay if you're small and you're struggling, you're visibly struggling. But if you look like you're not struggling, even if you secretly are, or if you're a bigger studio, go to hell. I mean, we worked at Irrational. We worked at a large studio that closed. Like, I don't know what to say other than the industry is incredibly risky, and I don't care what size you're at. I think it's fine to mitigate risk, to take an exclusivity deal if it helps you sleep at night. This is not
absolutely
easy.
I think when you die by you're living and dying by the amount of people who pick up your game. Your game, when you put it out, if it only sells 1,000 copies and the community dies off, it's like, oh, well, there it is, and those people that were all championing for you not to take the exclusive, they're gone. They don't care about your game anymore. They're on to the next thing. They're on to the next person telling them not to do the exclusivity deal. And, if you had taken that, there's a chance that you might have been able to get more art, more programming, something better, just like extra stuff that then wouldn't have caused your game to miss the mark by this much or whatever it is. I mean, to me, there's so many sides to it, but I think what they're doing is great. I think there is a part of it that is sort of like, there is a little bit of like there's a little bit of an eyebrow raiser sometimes when they do things where it's clear that they're grabbing things that people want, and that's smart from a business perspective. They're taking the stuff that people really want now and being like, you're going to get it on Epic Store. Like, that's smart business wise, but at the same time, I mean, they have more money than they need, but so I'm always reminded of EA, like, and how they started out, but they were doing terrible things, like shopping whole studios and stuff like that. But people remember them for being shitty. Like, EA Like if somebody was what's the shittiest game studio or game company out there right now, or publisher or whatever, most people are going to say EA. It's like ingrained in the bloodstream at this point. And I feel like it'll be interesting to see how the perception is for Epic in the next few years. I mean, or if they're going to continue to do this. Because I mean, they have to kind of continue to do this until like they've carved their chunk out.
Oh, what you have to keep in mind is what they're giving is, it's not like they're giving people free money. They're giving people like a no interest loan, basically. And after, and the idea is that they just keep giving these no interest loans so that people don't have to take publishing deals in order to get so that people can make their games without, because the other option is a publishing deal where you get nothing on the back end. Well, very little on the back end comparatively, right? So it's great for developers. And it theoretically, so long as they make smart bets, a lot of their money comes back and then they just keep spending it again. Because, you're talking about like, I don't know how much money they gave Ooblets, who knows, right? But say, I don't know, make up a funny number. Say they gave them $100. And maybe it takes $100 to that shape. And say like, after a year, they've made $100 back. That $100 goes to somebody else because Epic can promote it better because it's a smaller storefront that's more focused. And let's be real, there's a certain kind of consumer on Steam versus on the Epic Game Store, right? Like Epic's brought in Fortnite. A lot of their consumers do tend to run younger. They tend to be more okay with a cartoony style game like Ooblets. I think it'd be a lot more dangerous going to Epic with a game that's strategy grimdark. You know what I mean?
Yep. Like
an RTS game, I think, would be a harder sell in the Epic Games Store just because of the consumers that are there.
Yep. They're there for third-person shooters. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I mean, when you think about it in terms of like the people that are there for their games are mostly shooter people. I think they're trying to curb that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they're definitely they're gonna do that over time. They need to curb that.
But every time I go to a talk at GDC or something, for years, people have been saying, you can't make that as an indie. What you make as an indie, if you want to be successful, is you make a highly replayable, roguelike, grimdark, like certain, you know what I mean? Like, these are the games that do well. And I'm like, those are the games that do well on Steam. And there's all these people that don't use Steam, that use like the Blizzard launcher and these other launchers, or that are currently on the Switch and other things. Like, what about those people? And the Switch dropped and showed like, no, there's consumers out there that definitely want different experiences. They're just not on Steam for some reason. And so in a way I was kind of hoping, well, I'm just, look, obviously I'm super biased. I fucking love Epic. I really want this storefront to take off. And I think it is opening up. I'm making a cartoony grid-based puzzle game, right? So like, this is not a Steam product. So I'm really, really hopeful. Like, I'm really deep in the camp of I think this is a good thing. And I think it's I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just like,
well, I think it's important that you believe in, like, I mean, there's definitely like, so I would just to clear up some thoughts on my end too, is that like, so you're doing Epic for PC, right? And then you're gonna do, potentially you might do some consoles, you don't know which ones yet, and then like, one of the things that I think jumped out to me right away, and maybe it's like, obviously you're developing, you're on PC, that's where your bread and butter is, you're going to be working on that, but I don't think that's actually where your main market is. It's sort of like your game would work really well on a I guess maybe I thought originally it would work really well on an iPad or something like that, but I actually maybe not. I don't know. Are your controls,
dude,
like,
I'm dying
enough to do that?
I'm dying right now just trying to get to work on the existing consoles and like, do you know how hard it is to come out in this many storefronts at the same time, just logistically and everything else? Holy shit. Like,
that's
I'm
why
not
we're breaking it up.
I'm not doing touch controls too, man. Like,
oh my gosh.
I'm gonna focus on some consoles, and who knows which ones. Could be the Shield, and the
Shield,
PC, the NVIDIA Shield. We don't know.
It just hit me. I was like in the Shield. I'm thinking like, that
Shield
console that wait a minute, what's the Shield?
So I'm coming out on some number of consoles that I can't say yet, but all of them, and the NPC. And the reason I'm doing that is because I've got the money from Epic. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And I can show you, like, the art is significantly different and better because I got the money from Epic. And I'm coming out in 8 different languages because I got the money from Epic. Like, this gave me the ability to launch globally on multiple platforms and in multiple languages. And the difference there was the money that Epic gave. And it's not like I got nothing.
Right.
I got only love right now, right? Like
I know. And I think you're one of those stories that, in my opinion, that's what people need to be looking at. They need to be looking at the fact that this is helpful, that this is actually a thing that's good.
Nobody hears those stories for several reasons, because it's boring. It's more fun to hate Epic for the other people.
It is.
And the thing is, you can say, why isn't Epic helping the smaller indies? They are. You're just not paying attention. Right.
I do think that. So a thought just occurred to me though. So like, you know how our two games are completely at the opposite end of the spectrum, right? I feel like my game would get more hate because the people who are doing the hate are those like first person shooter people.
You think so? Like, have you done a profile of the people?
No.
I'm just curious.
This is just my like BS like thought process.
Well, I suppose, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, people who are playing... So Epic has definitely the consumers that play Fortnite, and Steam has definitely the consumers that play, I guess, COD? No, that's on all the things.
I mean, you can look at the top list is like, I mean, it's like the Dota players, and I think Counter-Strike's on there, and like a bunch of other things. I don't know. I do think that for some reason,
I'm like trying to name a shooter. Like, this is how bad I've been. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is that class in Civilization? Like, I don't know.
But I don't know. I do feel like there's a certain. I mean, so what's interesting about the Ooblets thing too was that, and I'm gonna switch gears a tiny bit, which is like, so when I first started following them, they only had like 30,000. I'm looking at my Twitter right now. Oh, I've got a new message from Ken Levine. You want to
read that out loud on the podcast?
He just wanted to know how my project was going.
That's cool.
He
never messaged me.
Ken, are you watching this right now? It's like, okay.
Oh, look at you. You're so popular.
I'm going to have to bring out my trophy that I beat, because I actually have that like mustache trophy. Remember when I won that mustache competition? And like we had it was like November or something where everybody had to grow mustaches. And
the only thing I remember about that was I felt like Nicole should win, but I don't remember why or what she did.
Oh, she had like a cool like
she handcrafted a new mustache every day for the month, didn't she?
That was insane.
Yeah.
And then I like everybody's before and afters were like so vastly different. Like everybody had like crazy beards, and then you looked at mine and there was like no difference for the entire month. And I got up there, and then they brought out some like Italian dudes like from downstairs to like shave. They were like the good fellas or whatever. Anyways, so it's sort of like a huge sidetrack. But anyway, so Ooblets.
We don't have Chris Light to edit this week, but we gotta try.
So yeah, Ooblets. God. So I remember when I started following Ooblets, they had like 30,000. They had like 30,000 followers, and everybody was super excited for their game. And now I'm looking at it, and they've got like 45,000. So they've definitely, increased. And I think. It's interesting because I don't know their situation and I don't know her situation, what her, like, because, as an indie dev, there's so many different variables, like, where do you get your money coming from? Like, are you living with your parents? Or are you,
it's all good into one of those talks, like, how do we classify indie? What kind of indie? The variation between different people that call themselves indie is intense. Like, size of your, and I'll go back to it, like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter, like, you can be creatively fulfilled in a massive AAA company or be treated like a cog in a massive AAA company. And the same in indie. Like, you can be treated like a cog in indie. You can be pursuing things that are not at all artistic and that are super boring in indie. I see it all the time.
I mean, that's how a lot of us get by, right? Doing like extra contract work or whatever. And hopefully it's not like the kind of contract work that isn't interesting to you. Or
the other thing is, maybe I went indie at the wrong time, but like right when I went indie was when everybody turned like indie apocalypse. What you have to do is bear market. You have to survive. You should be making a highly replayable grimdark roguelike. Like, I was lamenting this for years, that this was all of indie is bullshit. None of this is fun. I thought this was supposed to be fun, and like now it's a different tune. And I think part of that's just because the money's back in the industry. Not just through Epic, but largely not because of Epic either. But new console generation, there's just definitely more funding opportunities everywhere. And because there's more funding opportunities at the top, publishers are offering more money, and it's just trickling down to everybody.
I think that the thing that would be good to maybe touch on a little bit too is, when you're just starting. I actually heard, I think I read an article on Kotaku like literally yesterday. It somehow made it to my feed, which was like somebody created a fake studio or something like that and had like 20 employees, and they weren't paying them at all. And like, I mean, people just need to be really careful when they're going indie, like, what kind of opportunities they're people dangling like carrots in front of them and stuff like that. You really gotta pay attention to who you're talking to, and if somebody's doing that, I mean, I don't know. There's a whole thing right now that's going on, and I think people just need to be really careful about when they want to go indie and they want to do contract work for like another studio, just to kind of look at their background and really like pay attention, because I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are trying to take advantage of indies right now as well. And to me, I felt like that kind of flows into like my thoughts on publishers to some degree. There's a lot of people who are saying they're publishers or getting in that space right now where they're like, yeah, we want to back your game, or we want to give you money and blah blah blah. And it's like they're not really there for you. They're just there to get like some kind of like chunk of your game, and then peace out.
You should look at this as getting as a business relationship. So we were going to talk about publishers at one point, and I don't think it's how do I put it? Say when you were looking for a business partner, you took that very seriously, right? You picked a friend that you'd worked with for a really long time. You kind of knew what you would do, you knew what they would do. You trusted each other. When you get a publisher, it's a very similar situation. Sometimes you're getting a publisher just because you want money, and if everybody's upfront about that, that's fine. I think personally, those are. I'm trying to say this without being a bitch. I would, given the opportunity to. I think it's, if you have the opportunity to get money from somewhere that's not a publisher, that's better, because the other thing. Okay, so a publisher that's only offering you money is also offering you connections to opportunities to be on something like the Epic Games Store or one of these other places, right? And if you have the opportunity to get around that and do that yourself, you do it yourself, right?
Right.
Like if you can just directly talk to, I don't know. The thing is, the opportunities you don't know until by the time you find out about them, it's almost too late. That's why it's good to have a publisher sometimes. Like
yeah, for sure.
We were very early in the Switch. We were almost a launch title on the Switch, and that wasn't because of anything we did. We had no ability to get access to that hardware. That was just because we were published through Curve Digital, and they did have that opportunity, right? And so that's what a publisher can get you if you have a good publisher. But it's a business relationship. You're basically like, yo, you do figure out the business, and you have to trust them to do it, and you don't take a business partner without thinking it through pretty closely and knowing that they're on the same level as you. Yeah.
I think the other thing too is like, so, I mean, it's, you definitely have to be careful and read the fine print as well. I don't know if like, I do think that like getting connections is really a positive thing that, these publishers can provide, right? Getting connections. A lot of people don't have connections. They don't know how to just reach out and be like, hey, I really need your help. All right. They don't even know who to contact, right?
Yeah.
So publishers can definitely do that. I wish there was a better way to handle that going forward. I'm sure just due to the fact of, Twitter and the internet and blah blah blah, things are going to be a lot easier to do on your own eventually.
That's true, but there's always going to be. So the problem is, I didn't find out about the Epic Games Store until it was announced, and it just so happens we can go into how I got really lucky and how I got that done. But in order to prevent it from leaking, Epic couldn't tell anybody that they were doing that, but they had to get some kind of titles lined up in order to make a storefront. And so they go to the people they trust and that they know, and those people are clearly, based on, if you look at their portfolio right now, Annapurna, they go to publishers that they know will keep a secret, will sign the NDA, and will get the deal done. And nobody, no matter how like unless you're famous or some shit, like you're not going to get that just by being on Twitter, because a lot of these things, by the time at the Epic Game Store was announced, they already had a lot of content. And the goal of a publisher is to get up, if you have a good publisher, it's like Annapurna, something that gets you into that gets you to be a launch title in the Epic Game Store right when that launched. So like, and I don't see a way around that, to be honest. Like, I just don't think the internet will solve that or anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's right. I mean, you're totally right. And I think, like, a part of me thinks, oh yeah, maybe you have 30,000 followers like Ooblets, and then things just come to you. But I don't think. Yeah, I mean, or you get lucky like Sean Murray, and you go on to the Game Award, you pay for your own ticket, you fly out there, and you sit on the couch and talk to Jeff Keighley for a second, and then all of a sudden your game is extremely famous. Those are super rare instances, and it's but getting to be a part of those publishers, I think is like the good ones. I think is difficult. I think it's as difficult as just making a game, like picking the right person, because what ends up happening is you get bombarded by tons of emails from like no names that are like promising you they'll do this and that, and obviously you got to weed through those. But I think for the unexperienced person,
this is not my experience, by the way. So I want to dig into this. So you got like loads of people emailing you asking, was this your experience? Like loads of different smaller publishers emailed you and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, because you're Kickstarter. That's right.
Yeah. Well, it was So that, I mean, you guys probably got that. Maybe
a little, but not like. Mostly, I got musicians offering to do the music, which is hilarious because like the whole point of the Kickstarter is we had Chuck Reagan for the soundtrack.
That's funny.
Like we had loads of people offering to work for us when we were like, we had the Kickstarter so that we could pay specifically the people in the Kickstarter. We did get the Microsoft deal. Microsoft reached out to us from the Kickstarter.
So that's good, though. Like if Microsoft was still looking to do like little indie, or they were doing the id at Xbox, right?
ID at Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember hanging out with the guy that was running that a few GDCs ago, but I was at a different studio at the time or something. I didn't have any like indie background there. Well, what was I saying? I'm trying to remember the train of thought that I was on for that. Just the fact that, so you guys got, I feel like the id at Xbox thing is sort of the in that you need, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a rarity. I think you have to be on point. You have to be special.
You know how hard I've been chasing that for Kind. So like, because if you get into the ID at Xbox program, and that's already difficult. But then if you're lucky, you get the before every event, like PAX and Gamescom and all these events, Microsoft does a special day where they invite all the press over to like a show floor, and they just show off like their 20 favorite ID at Xbox games that are coming out in the next 6 months.
Oh wow!
And basically, they do a call for as soon as you join the ID at Xbox program, you get added to a mailing list, and then twice a year they send out like, we're going to look for the games that we're going to be showcasing. And if you are in that situation, always fucking apply, because like if you get that was our entire marketing strategy to Flame the Flood. Like the only reason we didn't pancake entirely was because of that.
I mean, I think that I kind of agree to some point, because like what's scary to me is when I was at DreamHack, and we need to come full circle again, but when I was at DreamHack, there were so many cool indie games that I had never heard of before. Like every indie game next to me was like one of those games where I was like, holy shit, this looks cool. Like this, people next to us were running like a Metroid type game that I was like, dude, this looks sick. And I've never heard of them before. And they were like Austin natives, and they had been in the industry forever. And like, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then like a few more boosts down, it was just, I mean, it was all over the place. It was just people that were making really amazing looking indie games, and I had never heard of them. And it made me feel really bad. And randomly, like, some of them would come up and they'd be like, "Oh, you guys are doing everything right." You know, I had just finished the Kickstarter. They were like, "Wow, you guys are great."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing. Like, don't talk to me." Like, it was like, we're just playing it by ear. And, but like,
but yeah,
that
Kickstarter does actually, you're right. I remember now. Doing a Kickstarter, one of the side effects of it is it does get you out there in front of, like, ID at Xbox will troll through there. Different people were trolling through there, at least back in the day.
Right.
It sucks that it's gotten that. It sounds like it's less Xbox and it's more predatory jerks trolling it now.
Probably. I think the way that when I was looking at it, right, so the way that you can kind of look at your Kickstarter in two ways, like at the beginning. I mean, this is a tricky one to get into, but I'll try and say this a certain way. So if you fail your Kickstarter, your game is marked as a game that nobody wanted.
Oh, yeah. And you're on the ropes every time you talk to a publisher, and they'll see it every time they Google it.
Yeah, they're going to Google that shit. So when Mike was, like, originally, like, he wanted to do one, like, last year, and I was like, nope. Like, we're not doing Kickstarter. That's BS. Like, there's just no way. And he was shopping around, and we had several people that were lined up that wanted to give us the amount that we were asking for, which was like, I'm not afraid to say it too. I mean, we were asking for like $500,000 or something like that, and we had some people that were kind of like in that ballpark. They were like, yeah, like we can do this and blah blah blah, and I was just thinking like, we're gonna be in their pocket, and they're gonna want like all these things that are just gonna stress us the F out, and we just don't. You don't want that. You don't want that stress.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did the and then at that one point, Mike was like,
as opposed to Kickstarter, which is completely stress free.
No. No. Let me finish. Yeah. So. Yeah, well, I've got a few gray hairs now. So,
like, were you warned about that, Mojica?
Yeah. So the deal was, I basically kind of convinced I was like, look, Mike, like we were about to, he wanted to pull the trigger on one of these guys, and I was like, look, we don't need it. We don't need to do it. Let's not do it. I don't want to be in like somebody else's pocket. Like, if you want to do the Kickstarter, we'll do the Kickstarter, and as long as you say no to these people. And we were like, okay, fine. So he said, if we're gonna do the Kickstarter, we won't do that. So I just was like, all right, cool. We'll aim for, like, this was in December or something. I was like, all right, we'll aim for like a February Kickstarter or something. And then obviously February came and went, and we were like, well, we should probably do the Kickstarter. And so we get to I think it was in March. It was like the end of March or something like that. And yeah, we were just trudging through. I sat for like, I think a month, was just like, I was getting all the things ready, and Mike made a trailer in like a day, and we did some other stuff, and it was really stressful. But to me, there is that, like, earlier, like last year, I was like, no way we're doing a Kickstarter, because if you fail, and we didn't really have much to our game at that point, it's like, if you fail for good. But if you succeed,
if you succeed and you don't ask for enough money, now you're on the ropes forever.
Yeah,
there's a lot of there's no easy, safe, good path to get money. Like, you're giving up something somewhere, right?
Sure. I think the other thing that's good, and I think one could argue that one of the reasons why Kickstarter is good is because you get people seeing your game that never saw it before. Now you've got people who are also invested in your game, which I thought was more important than just some random person behind a desk somewhere that didn't necessarily care.
Strong disagree. If you get, the difference between ID at Xbox, like, if somebody at ID at Xbox,
we're not talking about ID at Xbox though. They're like a step above.
Well, I would obviously, if you pitch to anybody, the ideal, the golden standard is like pitch to first party before publishers, and publishers hopefully get you into first party, and having basically like being on a sale. It matters if you're in a sale. It matters if you're on that banner on the storefront. If you're on
I agree.
Like that. matters more than any community building, unfortunately, in my opinion, based on my limited experience with single player games. But
yeah. And I you know what, I'm gonna agree with you on that one to some degree as well. I mean, it's a bit different if you have like 30 to 40,000 followers that can do a lot of good for you.
No, that's not nothing. Especially, and again, for a multiplayer game, I think community building, Clay is like the obvious example of like a studio that does it super well. Building a community around their games, keeping their players engaged, using something that I took for granted because I just forgot until now is how valuable it is having those early access playtesters.
Yeah.
As somebody I'm like, oh, my game's bug free, I'm done, and then a week later, oh fuck. Because like you'll never get that quantity of playtesting if it's just like your immediate friends and whoever you can send a key to around you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, we definitely our release schedule is very much like we'll do early access, with a certain amount of game, and then we'll be getting feedback as we update the game and kind of retooling certain things, but with a heavy emphasis on this is still early, Yeah. I'm hoping
it can be hard, like to make that switch and show stuff early, and it's
nerve-wracking. It really is.
Yeah, and it also really does depend on the game in a big way, right? Like there's certain games that you don't want to spoil, obviously.
Sure. I mean, a puzzle game like yours, if you do early
narrative
access,
game or like
that's like they've played it.
Yeah.
It's that's rough. You're not going to be doing new puzzles, for the beginning of the game again.
No, it's a highly replayable grimdark puzzle game. Mojica.
Yeah.
RNG.
You need to be doing that. Yeah, you need to be making dark, grim puzzle games. That'll be like your remember when
I was like, the next game 2 just goes after the money. It's like it's just nothing but guns and tits.
Yeah, what was it, that Gone Home mod where the guy made Doom in Gone Home? So like, because the original, like, people were like, wow, there's no guns in Gone Home, but it's a first-person shooter or it's a first-person game. So somebody retooled it to be Doom, and you could run around and just kill everything. It was like, what? Oh my gosh.
Oh, gamers.
Yeah, but they like we were talking about the publishers and why I think that there's so many paths to go, obviously, and I think the path that we're going is a good one for us.
Oh, definitely.
And I think I don't knock Ooblets 1 second for what they were doing. I wish that there wasn't such a crowd that would follow every Epic Games announcement and just run after it, because a large portion of that crowd that's telling Ooblets to like go F themselves isn't an Ooblets fan base. Like I feel like there's a chunk of that is just the rah people with signs that follow every announcement.
Well, it fell into my feed, and I think usually they'll always find a couple of people that are actually wronged, and of course there always are. Like, keep in mind, the Epic Games Store isn't available in every country.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Well, no, it's not as feature complete as Steam. The big complaints are usually like there's no cloud saving. I mean, I follow this. Like, I want to know. I want to know why people are mad, right? The big complaints are there's no cloud saving, which I can see being like an issue if you like to travel a lot. There's a couple of other key features that are missing. I think for a community game like yours, it would suck because a lot of the community features are gone.
All right. Yeah. I mean, we would be designing our own. We have to design our own like mini workshop, like mini Steam workshop, which is not an easy task and is kind of annoying. But a lot of that will be like localized to the game. So I'd be curious to see what problems would occur with that. But so one of the interesting things about like not being in every country or region right away is that as a developer, that helps you focus on the ones that you do have. And then when they do unlock in those regions, that's sort of like
it's a mobile strategy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of nice actually.
It is pleasant. It's also one of the reasons why a lot of people come out PC first and then consoles later, because it's a huge pain in the ass to update your console to go through cert again, but to patching consoles a pain in the ass, but patching PC on Steam is super easy.
Yeah, or just like online stores in general, like just being able to just quickly upload a build takes like minutes, I guess, you know, kind of get that refresh in there. But yeah,
the big one,
I totally agree.
So the biggest one is actually, I thought this had changed, but I still see people complaining about it on Twitter. The Epic Games Store is now available in China.
Oh, really?
Because it is illegal to have a. So I know this because I'm trying to like.
Right.
We put the Flame of the Flood in China. That took forever. Wow. You have to go through like the Chinese government board of like making sure your game is a. I forget the terms, like a culture fit for China. Like there's no skeletons and like you have to. There's laws about what can be in a game in China.
There's like a blood thing too, right?
Like, that one was Germany. I think they've softened on that. Like you had to turn your blood green for Germany. We had to do that at one point.
Man, trying to ship Wolfenstein in Germany was like we had so many swastikas, and then like I think
they're a little sensitive about that out there for some reason.
Yeah, it still got pulled because I think somebody left one on a napkin somewhere on accident, like a texture. And I don't know if that's the real reason. That sounds like the dumbest reason, but it's possible.
Nah, like at that point, you just gotta be like, "Yo, you just see swastikas everywhere, don't you, man?"
Yeah, it's like,
just turn it back on them. No, I would probably not patronize the governments of foreign agencies. No, I always thought it was funny, because I grew up in DC, and a friend of mine who works, who just does like liaises, not a friend of a friend. I met a person that like liaises for other governments at times when I was back there visiting family, and she was talking about how other people in her field are working for Riot. And different games companies, because if you think about it, there's just so much shit that they have to deal with liaising with foreign governments in order to get their games and their esports set up and everything. And I didn't even consider that, right?
Oh my gosh, that's when you know you've got too much money. When you're like, it's so scary.
Yeah, but I mean, part of the reason is like, so Steam, from what I understand, operates in a gray market in China. It's technically illegal. Valve is technically breaking the law, and they're actually always kind of concerned that Steam is going to be shut down in China. Because it's illegal there. People are getting it through like I'm not
third-party stuff,
like the VPNing and shit.
Yeah, they're just like they go to the browser and they're just like, I'm from the U.S.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like jaywalking. Like it's illegal to go to Steam, but everybody in China is doing it anyway. But at any point, the government could be like, no more Steam. But
they're gonna be like, check out our storefront called like meme, and like it has everything your favorite.
As soon as it's the Chinese government. As soon as there's somebody, as soon as they have a local competitor, obviously they'll support that one. I mean, they're not. This isn't like a secret. The Chinese government wants to support companies that are Chinese, right?
Right. Yeah. For
sure. And that's why, in order to release a game in China, you have to have be published through a Chinese publisher. Like it's the only way to do it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why. Anyway, but that's a huge market. That's a huge market of people that can't get your game if you publish them.
Yeah, I mean, if you even sell to 1% of China, you're like. You can buy your own island in Hawaii and relax and like even like 1% of that 1%, you know, they'll be like they'll outbeat like the vocal minority in your community. Yeah. It's just insane.
It's this giant. Every now and then I hear stories because I know people that like make games, multiplayer games that are over there and stuff, and the different things they do and the hoops they do. Like when I lived in San Francisco, we would make MMOs, and obviously a lot of those would go to China and stuff. It is just such a completely different market to understand. When things take off there, it's just like I don't even know. Like I feel like I wish we knew more about it as Americans. Like
it's something that we don't think about, right?
Some people do. Some people spend a lot of time thinking about it, especially very successful large mobile companies and MMOs.
For sure. Yeah.
I think a lot of their consumers, keep in mind for like a very long time, consoles were illegal in China.
They had those micro consoles, didn't they?
Yeah, I told you about that. Yeah. They made consoles were illegal in China, and then like fucking, what was it, 6 or 7 years ago, they said, okay, consoles are legal now, but people weren't used to the idea of having a box in their living room like that. So a lot of venture capital was slammed into like micro consoles for the Chinese consumer.
That's so crazy.
I wonder if anything came from that. I don't know.
I would love to just see what those consoles look like, or have one just to see what it like. I don't know. There's something that's so interesting about that there was so many different teams that were exploding over there to fill this need because they were being prevented from just having the standard stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess they're also worried about a monopoly.
Well, it was I don't understand. It was a cultural thing, the reason they didn't have consoles. But when it came out, they were coming out with micro consoles because at the time, so here in America, we have like the Google Play Store, and we have the iStore, and we have like the Xbox storefront and so forth. In China, they have 12 major storefronts. All of them are mobile. And like one of them's owned by Tencent. And these 12 own like most of China. There's loads of little ones, but for the most part, there's these 12 major storefronts. So each storefront came out with their own micro console, and a micro console was just a thing that would plug into your TV that would play. That was your storefront for your phone. It's kind of like how right now Xbox is trying to also be available on the Windows, like Windows 10 and on all these other devices. It's kind of like that, but in the opposite direction. It would be like if Google Play was like, hey, you like games are great. Now how about you put Google Play on your TV? So that was kind of the concept behind it. It's hard to say. Mobile is bigger. It's just different, I think, around the world. Like Africa is my favorite example of that.
Oh, really? Explain.
They don't have LAN internet. They it's a big fucking continent, but like for the most part, they didn't. Most regions of Africa didn't have a lot of investment in like infrastructure early on. Back when we were all investing in landlines, they didn't have that, and then they suddenly had a lot of infrastructure after like 3G became popular and so forth. And so they skipped landlines. Like so much of Africa happens over 3G, 4G.
That's crazy.
Their internet is primarily like in G. I'm the most technical fucking. Wi-Fi. But that's
super interesting.
Yeah, so like a lot of their internet is mobile, and a lot of their stuff is mobile because of it. This is my understanding. Again, this is just shit I pick up from being in the business, but like, I've never launched a game in Africa, so I don't know, right? But
that's really cool.
Yeah, it is fun to think about.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about like so. You know, we were talking about getting localization, and you have like you're gonna get your game localized in like 8 different languages.
You know what didn't occur to me as soon as I did that? So I'm supposed to put like a place for people to contact customer support, and right now like I have an email that goes to me. I can only read English.
Oh man!
I'm an indie.
You just blew my mind, actually.
I was like, I sat down and I was like, fucking, am I gonna Google Translate it? I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna figure that out when the time comes, because like I'm one person. Like, I'm not, I'm not
so
EA.
Crazy. You're gonna get like 80,000 like Russian emails.
I didn't consider.
Like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. I mean, what I have on. Okay, so this might be an interesting thing to do. Well, this isn't the end solution, but in the interim, you could have, so on our Discord, we have like a Translators Unite sort of like section. So like if you know different languages strongly, go hang out there. And I've added like a little translator role, just like a blank role that's like, oh, I'm a translator. To these people, because like we get a lot of people that were during the Kickstarter and afterwards they're like, I really want to translate your game into Finnish or Russian.
You have the German. Best community. I thought shooters were supposed to have shitty communities.
But these guys, there's all these people coming in, and I think that like that might be a good place to like if you have like a like another language that is.
Yeah, I'll harass your Discord.
Yeah, well, not on Discord, Gwen. That's not for kind. All right, fine. I guess I'll change the title.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll leave you alone.
Yeah, but I think like if it's specific to your game, you can have people like come over and then ask questions in their language, and there might be somebody else that can also kind of help them and like be like the liaison between or whatever. That's not really like I said, that's not the end game solution, but when you're bringing up the fact that like you have to answer a bunch of emails from different places, that sounds scary.
Well, I figure I'll Google Translate it and I'll see if I get enough emails from in like one language and something's clearly wrong. I'll like pay I'm paying a translation company to translate it, right? And then paying them pretty like a crap ton of money to play through the game and like check that it actually looks right, because we didn't do that on the Flame of the Flood. It was really expensive, and German words are like absurdly long, and so there's places where it would like go out of the box and stuff.
Oh yeah, I think what is it? I remember saying somebody who was doing a UI test where it's capital W that is the largest letter in the keyboard or something like that. So if you just spam capital W to like the full length, it can help basically show all the broken bits and like all of your UI or something. And I remember when we were working on the Blackout Club, which is now out, by the way.
Yes, go pick up the Blackout
Club. Super late
shout
out to the Blackout Club and the guys over at Question. It's been getting some really cool reviews. But when I was over there and I was helping them out, Kane always did like basically whatever the equivalent of like Wingdings was. He just did. His name was always like a really crazy title, just to see if it broke the UI in any locations. And I thought that was a really cool thing to see. That I never truly understood why he was doing it, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's so that we could test the UI. And
yeah.
Oh, I don't want to go through that process, Gwen. I don't want to.
Dude, you're not even. You thought Kickstarter was hard. Wait till you got to do like multiple storefronts with screenshots where you have localized the screenshots to the different languages.
Ooh, no, thank you.
Yeah. Like, shit gets complicated fast.
I don't want to do that.
Never had to localize a trailer? Jesus.
What? No, see, Mike and I are pretty like on the same page. We're both exactly where we are right now. Is like our character doesn't talk. like there's a super limited amount of text that except for the level editor, which has a bunch of text. But oh my god, that's gonna be such a bitch to like translate. What does bridge these faces mean?
Yeah, wait till you translate that. You're on a call with like somebody who's translating to Russian. Like, okay, what is faces? No, not faces like a human being. Face like a polygon. Do you know what a polygon is? Is that fuck?
Gosh. Who is it? Lucas Pope. I was listening to an interview with him. I don't remember where, what YouTube channel, but he was talking about how his game is all about like this narrative, right? The Oberdin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's basically what it is, Mojica. Oh god.
He said the game almost didn't come out because of that. So, I hate to be the first time to announce it, but it looks like Proteus is going to be only in English.
Well, if you keep your strings short enough. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to put it on different storefronts. They will localize it localizing your storefront text. You got to do the minimum. Localize the storefront text.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's like, it is something though that I think a lot of indies don't consider. And I think it's sort of like a...
Well, it doesn't.
It's a weird thing because you don't think about everybody else when you're making a game. It's all about you and your idea and what you want to do and
you want to be. I mean, just to make sure your game is accessible as possible. You're doing the right thing because different consumers on different platforms want different things. Like, I still haven't figured out how important demos are for people who use the Switch. Like, I've heard conflicting things there. People who use the Switch sometimes adore and want demos very badly and sometimes don't give a fuck. Like, I've never
heard of that.
And some of it is like, you don't know if a customer is crazy, but you don't know for sure because you're not a Switch consumer. You know what I mean? Like,
oh my gosh.
So...
There's so much to discuss.
There is. We should We should wrap this up because we went over, but we should talk more.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down for whatever. I mean, I'm gonna, I'm gonna be here.
You're gonna be working on a game. I'll be working on a game. We will.
Yeah.
We will be back later to talk more about working on games and stuff.
Yeah. So I guess. So we're inside the box now.
Yes.
We're gonna step outside of the box.
That's correct. This is Gwen Frey.
Out of this photo. Sorry. Out of this Photoshop.
This is Gwen Frey and Jason Mojica, and you've been in the Dialogue Box.
Bye, everybody.
Oh, you don't have to hit stop. Just hit stop on the thing, and then we can keep talking. Just wanted to stop that and turn on the AC before I melt.
Okay, I'm gonna hit save on my I'm gonna save this project out real quick.
By the way, you're still on Twitch, just so you know.
Yep. That's when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing like picking my nose and
yeah, pick your nose. You guys, Gwen, I tell you I was gonna be on Stadia. It's like, what? Shut up.
Oh yeah, we're just like spilling the tea on everything.
Is that a new? Why is everybody talking about spilling the tea? When did that become an expression? When did I get old where I don't understand?
I don't know. I heard about that recently, actually. I don't remember who I heard it from. Spilling the tea is like, no, I don't even want to dive into that.
Is that like? Is that teabagging? Like, is it? Did I stumble into?
No. It goes before.
I don't know. Fuck kids.
It was a thing. All right, now that we're just talking to Twitch. Hi everybody.
Yeah,
hi Steve. I saw Josh in there earlier. What's up, Josh? I don't know what I'm talking about.
My mic is picking up vibrations all the time. Is it right now because I turned on the AC, or was it before too? Because it's on the table and it got like a thingy.
Vibrations.
Hey, Dragonfly.
Oh yeah, this is Josh. Oh hey, Josh. He's my other level designer. Josh, I was playing through your map last night and changing up, like getting rid of all the sort of like the dynamic lighting overlap thing where we had like eight lights in one room that were all dynamic and all overlapping. I fixed that.
Sorry. Calyx, earlier we were recording the podcast and we're going to put on the internet for people who are not on Twitch. That's why we had to say goodbye.
Yeah, that was just goodbye to the podcast people.
I'll have to listen to this later.
Yeah, I also have to say goodbye to the Twitch people because I have a place that I need to go to right now. So we ended at the right time, but this was fun, Gwen. I enjoy these little chats, these little indie dev chats where we get our tea and coffee and our crumpets and we discuss how hard it is to be an indie.
Is there snacks? We haven't even gotten into that yet. Shit's about to get emotional.
Yeah,
I'm launching soon.
like so. Yeah, we'll have to I don't know. So whenever you're about to release, you should definitely do like a podcast before, and then right like the week after you do one, then and then a little bit down the road, then you'll do another one.
It's already.
You'll just have to.
I'm already in that place where like for a couple days I thought I was done, kind of not done, but I was. Like I went from working like 70 hours a week minimum to like I only had 40 hours of work to do, and I'm not allowed to work too much more because like I gotta let Elmore port the game and not fuck everything up, and I've gotta we've locked the script so that I can get localized. I'm just sitting here and I'm like doing deep thinking about the next game and shit, and then I got a crap ton of bugs yesterday, and so I'm already getting the whiplash, but I'm already kind of like having that thing where I'm detaching a bit, I'm losing it.
Oh really?
Or we get like not.
I know what you're talking about. So as soon as you start having that other thought that kind of creeps in, like another game idea or something.
Yeah.
That's always rough. You got to be careful about your balance.
Yeah, well, you have to daisy chain them though, right? Like you have to kind of start thinking about the next game before you finish this one. Just because, like, what am I gonna sit around bored for a couple months? No. Also,
I don't know. Well,
if you don't, then you get that thing where like. If Kind ships and I haven't thought about anything else, then you get that like depressed period where you're like, oh, what is my life?
Oh sure, yeah, you definitely don't want that.
You want to you gotta find like a gradient somehow.
Well, I think for you and I mean, the idea, right, is like so when Kind comes out, you got to try and contact a bunch of people, go on podcasts, talk about your game, do like some magazine stuff, hopefully. That'll kind of help that balance out a little bit. I mean, I think
I'm really hoping that happens, but we'll see.
You know, and then you're gonna be talking to Jeff Keighley, and Jeff's gonna be like, "Gwen, we're super excited about Kind."
Then you're on the cover of New York Times. You know, Gwen.
Oh,
you gotta.
What was the
Later, Dragonfly.
Oh, see ya, Josh. What was I gonna say? Okay, it was about indies. It was about. It's obviously about indies. Oh my god. Oh, I had something. Shit. It was a good one. What were we talking about just a second ago?
Being on the New York Times, getting press coverage.
Yeah.
Delusions of grandeur.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's so many delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
I think it was. So. Oh, right. I remember now. Okay. You know, so have you know how like the Game Awards comes out, right? Jeff Keighley does Game Awards.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried submitting your game to any of that stuff? Like,
no, should I be doing that already?
I feel like that's the secret to being indie and getting recognized, because like when I was listening to okay, let me take that back. Don't listen to that last sentence. Not getting recognized, but like,
are you having heat stroke, Mojica?
I think I heard that like basically you just always should be applying for those types of things, because you know you hit like a different audience, and sometimes that's a more mainstream audience. But I do think that you know, the GDC awards, even though they're kind of like,
I was gonna do the IGF, yeah. Like that's
yeah.
Like I go to GDC anyway. Game Awards, is there like a is there a page somewhere with all the deadlines figured out for me?
I knew that. I wish I knew that, because that would be a great website to start. Ichiro, if you're listening, he's always starting like new little projects.
He works for Valve now. He's set.
Yeah, I would love to see that, because the just knowing when a deadline is, because like when I was like, oh yeah, I really want to go to PAX. I really want to go to like the one in Boston. I really wanted to go to, and then I was like, well, it's December or something now, so let me just look it up real quick and see if it's possible. And it was like, oh, you needed to have submitted in like November for the one that's in March or something. I was like, what the that was such a long time ago, and like I had no idea. You know, they really do need like a late submission process or something for indies.
So I'm gonna be at PAX. Did you know how they have like the penny arcade thing at PAX? Did you realize you have to get involved with that long before you actually like? You don't know what penny arcade? It's like a PAX thing where you get pins and shit.
The pins. Okay, so is that where? Okay, yeah. That I wanted that so bad.
Strong opinions about that. Well, you have to sign up for that like 9 months in advance, but you don't know if you're going to PAX until like 6 to 3 months in advance. So it feels like really presumptuous. Everybody that's part of penny arcade basically like was like, yeah, no, we know for sure we'll get in. Like,
I know, that's crazy. Oh man, we have some good pin material as well. We have like
3D print your own pins. Fuck the system.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Well, for our physical goods on our Kickstarter, we're getting our we have these skull keys that you pick up in the game. They look like digital skulls or something like that. They're really cool, and I really want to get like pins made for like the red, yellow, blue, green, whatever. And like it's just such a cool little thing, and I felt like, oh man, this fits really well on a pin. Like I should totally get some of that. I really want to do, like, it's a weird thought to have, but I really want to do a lot of Proteus merchandise because I want it, not because I want to sell it, because I want it. Like I was joking with my
I wasn't gonna do a banner, but now I'm looking at the banner on your wall, and I'm like, that would look really. I should have a Kind banner. What the fuck? Like, that's a good idea. I like the banner, man. It looks so professional. Check that shit out. Yeah, that's for a show. Yeah.
We got the one of my friends suggested, my buddy Drew. He was like, oh yeah, you should put the what's it called, the QR codes. Like I thought those were dead, but apparently like everyone's phone just comes with QR code technology built into the photo thing now. So we had overnight we just broke down our Steam like store page into a QR code. Really easy. You do it all online. There's automatic generators and everything, and you can even put your logo in the middle of them now, which is really cool. So we did one for our Steam page, our Discord, and literally you scan the Discord one, and it immediately just takes you to join, and you just join the Discord. And I thought that was really cool. So I started putting those on my little business cards that I was handing out during the DreamHack event. But yeah, no, it's really cool, and I think yeah, definitely think about QR codes at some point. But
pro tip.
Sort of like to close the thought on the physical goods thing, though, is like I was chatting with my my Twitch chat one day, and I was like, yeah, somebody was like, oh, where do I get that banner? And I was like, well, for the low price of $150, you can go to FedEx Kinko's, and I'll send you the poster, and you can print it out. But then we were like, yeah, but somebody else was like, oh yeah, I want that as like bed sheets, and I was like, okay, well, sure, we'll get that design as the comforter. Then we'll take one of our in-game materials that's like a hexagon pattern.
This is bad business. You gotta say no, because what happened is now you've given away the rights to your IP, and now other people will, now somebody in China will take that, print it, and sell, well, or America, any enterprising person will take it, print it, sell it, and then you can't go after them because you've given away your IP, Mojica.
No.
I don't know how things work, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
I've already failed. Then I've already failed.
No, I don't know.
I've already failed. Actually, I've been selecting like some of my level design buddies from the community that I've grew up with or whatever, that were really excited about the game. I've already sent them like a special build of the level editor that they can check out and stuff like that and give us feedback on. So if any of them decide to like, they're like, you know that thing you said to me about my level on the forums like 8 years ago? Fuck you. And like upload the build. Like that would just completely destroy everything.
Yeah, well, you gotta trust people. Like at the end of the day, people.
Yeah.
Like I've given kind keys out to like a bunch of people. Like what you gonna do? You gotta trust.
I really
people.
enjoyed playing that, by the way. I've sort of like.
You haven't played it since like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what I did, because you were because I still had your Steam key at some point. Like I noticed that it was updating on my Steam, and I was like, oh well, let me just like load it up. And I was like, oh, look at the new menu, and like I was like looking at all the characters, and you had like a bunch of fog and like some cool new animations, and there was like a little intro. But then I played it, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna stop, because I want to play this like all in one go, like fresh. It's gonna be pretty cool.
I haven't announced the date yet. I'll be announcing the date soon, but I mean we're close. Obviously, right? It's Q4. We're getting there.
Well, like effing good luck. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man. Thanks.
I'm super excited.
We'll probably talk again before then if Chris Slade ever has a weekend where he's not here again. I'll pull you in.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I'm down. I am down for whatever.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right, well, hey, I need to jump off because I got to get going. But it was fun, and I had a good time. So
yeah, I'm gonna log off to Twitch.
Okay.